You are listening to the Wavelength Podcast presents How Do I Internet? Your burning questions about digital marketing answered by the award-winning Astanza marketing team. We are your hosts today. My name is Amanda, and I am the head of marketing here at Astanza.
Hello, I'm Hannah, and I'm the brand marketing manager here at Astanza.
We've both been doing this for a little while, so I think we're pretty qualified to answer today's questions. Although
Yes.
I will say today's questions are pretty easy.
That's true.
At least easy for us.
Yeah, easy for us, but we're hoping to bring you the latest and greatest information on how do you internet. So today, what are we talking about?
I think we're talking about social media.
Let's do it. I love social.
We're millennials, so we know a lot about social media.
We sure do. We grew up with
What's?
it.
I think we have a couple of questions. What are today's
We do.
questions about social media?
So the first one we wanted to talk about, and of course we're talking a little bit more in the aesthetic business space. So whether you're offering tattoo removal, hair removal, aesthetic services, kind of in that realm, but this does apply to pretty much everybody. Honestly, these are really great tips. So we're going to talk about what social media profiles do you need to have as a business owner, as that type of
We get that
business.
question a lot. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are like, there's how many different social media companies? Like 6 or 7?
At least.
Yeah, a lot.
Of the major ones too.
Yeah.
There's probably some little ones in there. Yeah.
And business owners, I think a lot of times are like, how do I manage 7 social media profiles and a website and run a business?
You kind of don't.
You kind of don't. I think that's a great way to put it. You kind of don't.
Or not well.
I know what my favorite 3 are.
Yes.
I always, when I'm talking to clients, I pick Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yep.
Would you pick any others to put on that list?
Maybe a year or 2 ago, I might say Twitter/X. But nowadays, I don't think it's as fruitful, at least not for this business kind of model that we're talking about here. So I'd say Facebook and Instagram for sure.
Yeah.
And then TikTok is also very big.
You kind of got to think about who your audience is, and the demographics on each of the social media platforms is different. X/Twitter, primarily men over the age of 40. If you think about, aesthetic treatments, men over the age of 40 are not your number one audience. Millennials love to get tattoos and then regret them. And so your number one audience for tattoo removal is millennials. Your number one audience for hair removal is, of course, women. And then most aesthetic treatments kind of lean in toward the females. So I don't think that Twitter is necessarily where a majority of people who are looking for aesthetic treatments or laser tattoo removal are at. But that audience, I think, is on Facebook and Instagram, which is why I would pick those.
For sure. And I think also if they think about, what kind of content you're going to have to be sharing, X is very text only. I mean, I know people post pictures and stuff, but there's still the character limit. You can't share as much information. It's just not quite the same. People don't go there for the same type of way to learn information as they do to Facebook or something. Right? Yes, Threads is similar too. So Threads is kind of like Twitter or X, where you can put pictures or videos, but it is shortened allowance on the caption. And it's very fun for engagement and kind of one-to-one sort of information sharing, but I don't think it quite makes sense for businesses to be on those platforms.
Yeah, and this is a very visual industry.
Very, very visual. People love the before and afters and watching a video, because a lot of people don't know how tattoo removal works, or they've never seen a laser hair removal session. And so having those little video clips, TikTok,
so speaking of video,
Instagram.
That's why I say TikTok.
Yes.
I love TikTok.
Yes.
I'm kind of obsessed with it. I think I watch TikTok for like my daily news most of the time, because it's easier than like turning on the actual news.
Yes, the faster sound bites.
Yes, and so TikTok is a big one because obviously video content. You can put photos on TikTok as well. I think people don't realize that. TikTok's a great place for like photo slideshows.
Yep.
But what about Snapchat? Snapchat's video too, right?
That's true. Snapchat, I think, only really makes sense again in that one-to-one space. I think that, when Facebook started that way, but then it really changed when they gave you the business profile option and groups. And, the groups are kind of like the OG discussion boards, like, that we used to find.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense, and the Facebook platform has evolved. But on Snapchat, it really still is that one-to-one.
Yeah.
And I don't really use it a whole lot myself, and I am in that millennial range, and most of your patients and clients probably won't be. Maybe some Gen Z patients, but you also got to think about folks who have the means to start getting some of these procedures as well. So taking all those factors into consideration, I usually skip through any kind of branded content on Snapchat. I only really open what my friends send me.
I think if I'm on Snapchat, it's 30 seconds or less.
Right.
Opening what a friend sends me and then immediately exiting.
Yep.
I'm not looking at ads.
Yep.
And I also think, that's also partially because of an age thing. I do think the younger audience is probably on Snapchat, but
definitely.
You hit the nail on the head with the means thing. Advertising to 19, 20-year-olds isn't necessarily as beneficial for businesses because 19 and 20-year-olds just don't have the means necessary to buy an entire package of hair removal or tattoo removal or Unfortunately, they also have way better skin than the older people do.
They may not need your services
And
quite
so
yet.
they may not need any kind of dermatological services. And so I don't think that audience is necessarily as beneficial. And so if I was a business owner and said, where can I spend my limited time? I probably would not spend it on Threads or Twitter/X or Snapchat. What are we forgetting?
I mean, Pinterest is out there, but I would think that's more so I love it for idea generating. And if you are a very active website, like if you have a lot of blogs and like a lot of resource type links and stuff that are kind of evergreen content, topical information that doesn't change year to year, I think that could maybe be helpful for some website traffic, but that's probably not a place to even get you leads to be calling you necessarily for, consultation or anything like that.
I think that's if you have like extra time.
Yes,
You're like,
and
hey,
that's a full-blown massive team. You've got a full-time social media manager. That's maybe something to look at, but I really think the main three, and that's part of it too. You can't be running a laser, managing a team, doing every single platform. So focusing and being really good on these kind of big three, I think, is a really good strategy.
So let's talk about the next question, as with regards to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So really kind of focusing in on the big three social media platforms.
Yep.
The next question was, how often do you post on social media? So let's start with Instagram, because I think Instagram is the one where people are like, is there an algorithm? Is there a plan? How often as a business owner would you post on Instagram?
So I say first and foremost, consistency and quality is more important than just getting something out there every day, all day. Because you want to be respected as an authority, you want to be respected as an educational leader. People are coming to you for services that they may never have had or, just don't know much about. So they want to be comfortable and they want to feel like you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing. So first I say consistency and quality. So if you can maybe manage 2 to 3 posts a week, I think that's a good, healthy start. Yeah. If you have the content and the time and or a person helping you with the time, I mean, every day is great, of course. I think Instagram specifically, I have still kind of continuously said that these things kind of change, algorithms change. But if you can manage once a day, I think that's awesome. But I think as soon as your audience learns that, you post a couple times a week and they're used to that, that's totally okay. And then maybe you work your way up.
I would agree with that. I would say minimum like 2 to 3 times a week. I think one of the benefits of Instagram is not like TikTok, because TikTok, there really is no rule to how often you can post. If you want to post on TikTok 10 times a day, every day, it doesn't really, most people are following hundreds of people on TikTok.
Yeah.
Plus you have the whole For You page, which is videos from people you're not following. And so I think on TikTok, you have the benefit of you can post off as often as you want to.
Yeah.
With Instagram, you're close to that. I don't think as often as you want to necessarily. I don't think unlimited, but with Instagram, you have the benefit of if you want to post every day or even twice a day, you're not really going to lose followers, especially if you're using like Instagram stories, since those expire after 24 hours.
Absolutely.
You can post more often, but I think 2 to 3 times a week minimum is where I would start and kind of try to build up as you're getting more and more content. And then I think one thing about Instagram that a lot of people fail to take advantage of is reposting things.
Yes.
Reposting from your other social media profiles, you can even share things from other people's pages to kind of help keep your page relevant. And not all of it has to be individual content. You could even get your customers to create what we call user-generated content, which is like get them to film their tattoo as it's healing at home, get them to send you pictures 2, 3, 4 days after treatments, things like that, and you can continue to post those things on Instagram as well. Yeah,
that's a great idea, especially the stories piece. Even if you may not have a new post that day or you're in a hurry that day, just take one of your old posts and share it to your story, because it's still showing activity to your story, and it may bring people to that post that didn't see it the first time. Because I know the Instagram algorithm feed, it's not chronological like it used to be in the beginning. It still is somewhat from the last couple days. You're not really going to see something more than a couple days old, but it does vary a little bit. So I think that's always a great way to put more content out on your stories too.
However, on the opposite end of the spectrum is Facebook, which is totally different.
Yes.
The way that I always describe this to people is think about the things that people use Facebook for. Most people are not closely following celebrities or businesses on Facebook. A majority of what they're doing on Facebook is following things that they're really interested in, family, joining groups for related content and things like that. And so Facebook, the rules are a little bit more strict on Facebook for how often you should post. I usually recommend to people maxing it out at 2 to 3 times per week.
Yeah. I think that's fair, especially because, even if people are following a business page, it may be somewhere that they're frequenting, like yours. And so you're going to be showing up in their feed, but they're used to seeing grandma, bestie down the street, friend from high school, maybe a coupon from the sandwich shop down the street, but like, you don't want to be overkilling their newsfeed, or they're going to mute you.
They're going to mute you, or they're going to unfollow you,
Yep.
or maybe they're considering getting tattoo removal and they get annoyed by you, and so they end up unfollowing you and go somewhere
boycott
else
you.
instead. Yeah. So you don't want to overpost on Facebook. That one's I would say Facebook, and this is kind of crazy because it's even the opposite of how it was 5 years ago, where Instagram was more curated content. Now I think Facebook is more curated content.
That's
Making
a good way
sure
to put
that
that.
what you post is very interesting, very relevant, only posting your best content on Facebook and only doing it a couple times a week, and really spreading it out. You want to do one post on Tuesday and one post on Friday or something like that, so that you're not overwhelming people. I think the other problem with Facebook is it's very common to be scrolling through Facebook and see Facebook posts that are 3 or 4 days old. And so if you post every single day, then you might have back to back to back to back. And I'm instantly unfollow, done.
Yep. It feels spammy. I don't know
does.
why. It just doesn't feel like it belongs there. Yeah.
Instagram, even though they're owned by the same company, Instagram is much better about kind of spreading things out, whereas Facebook will absolutely spam your newsfeed with posts if you post too often.
And Instagram, I've noticed, has done more of the suggested, similar to the For You page on TikTok, where even if you're scrolling your home feed, occasionally you'll see a reel or something and it's suggested to follow.
Yeah.
So it's helping mix in that a little bit more too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was all the questions that we had today. I know on our next podcast, we're going to be talking a little bit more about paid social media.
Yes.
So this is organic social media, what profiles you should have, how often you should post on them. Come back for the next episode where we're going to talk about paid social media and some of the benefits of running paid ads for your business on these same platforms that we've talked about.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited for next time. And remember, consistency, quality, respond to your peeps, and you'll be doing great on social media.
I'm Amanda, again, head of marketing here at Estanza. This is Hannah, head of brand.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for watching / listening, and we will talk to you again soon.
See ya.